Well, we didn't have, a lot of toys we had to make shift for ourselves, like hopscotch and jump rope, but I suppose the favorite toys were dolls.
Did you?
How about tell us about what it would be like what would you do on a Sunday?
On a Sunday, we got up and everyone went to church. My mother got up early and fixed breakfast, lunch, and dinner all
In the
at
morning?
the same time.
Wow.
Oh, yeah?
We went to church. When we come home at 12, it was ready. We ate. And the afternoon, we usually played or had games or took a nap or read and eventually when we got radios, we listened to the radio, and then in many, many later years, we had television. Black and white, that is.
When you were younger, did your grandparents live near you?
Yes, one of them, my mother's father, Grandpa Oakes, lived near us. But I didn't ever know my grandmother Oakes. She had passed away by the time I was born.
And how about your grandparents Wilkies? You didn't know
I didn't
them?
ever know my grandparents on the Wilkie side. They were already deceased.
What was your favorite books when you were
My
little?
favorite books? Oh, I always liked to read. And Nancy Drew Mysteries. I like those. And I'm sure there were others. It's been so long I can hardly remember.
Mimi, what were your parents' full names?
John Oliver Wilkie and Lusty Oakes Wilkie. O-A-K-S. She was an Oakes.
Okay. Do we have a family tree with the Wilkie family? Because I know we have a Davis family tree.
She
I
has
just have the names in the
Oh, in
Bible,
the Bible, okay.
of my grandparents, you know, that I never knew, because being the youngest of 9 children,
Yeah,
of course, they were deceased all
Yeah.
along by the time I was born.
So you were the youngest. What place was Velvy?
Well, J.L. was next to me, and then Mamie was next, and Velvy was
So
next.
she was second. Second born. And who was the
Well,
oldest?
my mother and father's first spouse
Oh.
had died, so my dad had 3 daughters.
Uh-huh.
He had Etta, Hattie, and Ari. My mother's first spouse died, and she had Verdi. So those 4 are like half
Half-brothers.
sisters
Oh, yeah.
to me. Then they had 5
Oh, wow.
of us, so that made 9 children altogether.
Wow, that's really good.
And your oldest sisters, your older half sisters, did they grow up? I mean, were they around you, or did they move away from Shelby?
Well, all of them, but Ari had married by the time I could remember, you know.
Right.
They were older, and they had married. Then Ari married after I could remember, and then, of course, my real brothers and sisters. Of course,
How old were you when you met Daddy Jim, and
I was 18, really.
how old were you when you got married?
I was 19, almost 20.
When you first met Daddy Jim, did you know that you were going to marry him?
No, I had no idea. His brother had just said he wanted me. He said, I have a brother that's in Panama, and when he comes home, I'd like for you to meet him. He said, I want you to marry him. And so when he come home from Panama, his brother introduced James and me, and of course we started talking, and we started writing, corresponding, and eventually we married. James kids me because the first time I met him, I said, oh, you're the one I'm supposed to marry. And he said, he tells everybody I asked him to marry me, but I didn't.
That's funny.
How old were you when he went into the war?
When I was what?
When he went into the war.
Well, we got married in 1943, and he went overseas. I lived with him a year in Laurinburg, so it was in 44 when he went overseas. So I must have been, 19, 20, 21, about 21-year-old when he went overseas. And then when he returned in 45, and then your grandmother Karen was born in 1947.
Mimi, can you tell us about your wedding?
We went to a magistrate,
You did?
Boyce and Maud and Velvy,
Aw.
with James and myself. And we were married by a magistrate. I did not have a church wedding.
No. There in Shelby? You were in Shelby?
No, we in Gaffney. You did not have to, at that time, if you went to Gaffney, you did not have to get a
Permit or
Yeah.
a marriage certificate? Oh, wow.
My brother JL was very unhappy with me. He was the next to me. Well, the least you could have done was marry in the church.
Oh.
And I said, well, we just didn't have time. Daddy Jim had to go back to the service, back to the Army. But I was to go the next weekend after we got married. I was to go and live with him in Laurinburg. So on Friday night late, I was preparing and I had my things packed and I had washed my hair. It was real long, you know, and I was sitting in there drying it and rolling it, and he walked in and I said, well, what are you doing here? And he said, there's a little town named Liberty Hill before you get to Laurinburg, and I was afraid you'd get off there instead of Laurinburg. So he thumbed home,
Oh.
and we went back on the bus.
Oh.
How far apart are Tiffany and Granny?
16 years. We always wanted another child, but I never was able to conceive. And I did have surgery, but still couldn't. I had what they call endometriosis. It's tumors or growths on the female organs. I had all those removed, but I still wasn't able to. And the doctor said, well, really, if you can wait till, I don't know whether to say all this or not,
That's fine.
menopause, you might be able to conceive. And I did. Tiffany was born 16 years after Karen. So that way I had to start Parent Teachers Association all over again.
Yeah.
I had 2 tours of that, 2 tours of tap dancing and dancing, 2 tours of piano lessons.
So Grammy's older?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By 16 years.
She helped me raise Tiffany, and Tiffany helped me and Karen raise Missy and Reed. So we had it in shifts.
Anything else?
No.
Should we stop it?
You want to
Yeah.
pause? Well, that's good.